EuroKitchen is Anna's kitchen, but it's your kitchen and it's everybody's kitchen. If you want to try a place where the food's finger licking, just come on in to the EuroKitchen. Anna's always cooking food that looks and smells so good. It's fine cuisine from all corners of the world, right in your neighborhood. It's Italian dinners and Portuguese fare. It's Francais food with a European flair. You can stop right there with all your channels switching and pull up a chair in the EuroKitchen. Anna's EuroKitchen.
Hi, I'm Anna Marie and welcome to my EuroKitchen. Today's going to be a great show. It's all about homemade pasta. I get so many people stopping me saying, how do you make homemade pasta? I love that you can take 2 eggs or 3 eggs, depending on how much your company is, and 2 cups of flour and make a meal. This is so easy. And coming from an Italian household, my mother, I was so gifted, who taught me so much stuff. So on today's show, we're going to talk about ravioli, tortellini, sagna-pats, how to make pasta, how to color pasta. If you've never had colored pasta, you're going to love this show. Especially with the holidays and that at Easter time, you can make orange pasta to serve instead of having regular pasta, because in an Italian household, we just don't have ham and pineapples. We got to have a pasta dish too. And I'm going to show you some of utensils that you can use for making pasta. So the basic recipe is usually 2 cups of flour and 3 eggs. I'm going to show you the old-fashioned way to make it by hand. And it's always that you can always add more flour, but you can't take it away. So always start with the 2 cups. But I just want to show you some tools of the trade. I like to have one of these. It's just a scraper. You can buy these anywhere in the kitchen stores. It's just a scraper that I use to scrape up with my pasta. I also use it like if I'm cutting gnocchis and stuff. So this is a great tool to have. This is one of our old-fashioned ravioli makers. What it is you have your form here, and this is going to show you for a dozen ravioli, and see how it has the little ridges? When you put your rolling pin over it, that's what's going to cut your ravioli for you. And this little part of it presses and makes the indentation for the pockets to put your filling in. So this is for ravioli. This is also a tool for ravioli. This is an old-fashioned one. My mom used to have a round one. I have a square one. This makes perfect raviolis. I'm going to show you how to use this. This is a little bit more modern. This is plastic. What's nice about this one is this has like the decorated edge on to make the cuts for the raviolis. I'm going to show you another little thing I want to make today for you, ribbon pasta. And what's nice about this is there's a little part here on this wheel. You actually unscrew this, okay? Take off the wheel and you can add other pieces to it. So like if I wanted to use a flat piece, like just for a cutter, and then I just screw this back in. These you can find anywhere. You can get them from Pampered Chef. You can get them at kitchen stores like Williams and Sonoma. But what's nice is this has just the flat part on it. It doesn't have the decorative part. So I'm going to turn back and put my other one on. But I love all these new little gimmicks that they have out there. I mean, my mother never had this stuff in the old days. So I'm just going to screw this back on. And you just tighten it, and there's your ravioli cutter, and it's great. And then what's nice is this has like a little storage unit, because this has another little disc. I don't know if you can see it, but it's another little decorative edge, like if you want to get a little bit more fancy. But what's nice is they come with these little containers. Oops. They come with these little containers with it, so you can store your little wheels. I just love all these little gimmick. If you see me out, I'm usually like in a Home Goods or a cooking store. I just love that. Okay. I have something really special here that my mom gave me before she passed away. It's called an Italian guitar. This was actually my Uncle Freddie's from Italy. I always have it wrapped up. I'm going to have to take it out and get it hung up on the wall. But this is what it looks like. It's called a guitar because of the strings on it. But this is what they would use to make their pasta. So in the old days, you have to remember, they didn't have KitchenAids. They didn't have the pasta attachments. So what they would do is make their pasta, they'd roll it out, and then they would put their pasta on the guitar. And if you look at this, I don't know if you can see this, there's a slant on this board that goes on an incline. So as you would make the pasta, it rolls off. So if I was going to use this, it has the little feet on it. You put this on the table or wherever your work surface is. okay, like this. Let me get this out of the way so you can get a better shot, Kelly. Got all this stuff I want to show. Okay, so here's my little guitar, and that's what they call it. So I would roll out my pasta, and then I would put a sheet on here. Once the sheet is on, I take my rolling pin and roll over the guitar, and these, just like on a regular guitar, these strings cut your pasta, and then it rolls down and you have it. I just thought this was so neat. I never knew about this, and then right before my mom passed away, she said, there's something I want you to have. And I've never used it. I just don't want to use it because it's so precious to me. But this was my Uncle Freddie. You used to hear me talk about him because he's the one that taught me to make Uncle Freddie's famous meatballs. But this is an Italian guitar. So I think I'm going to find a place that can maybe put it in a box for me and I can hang it on a wall. But I just love it. I mean, how ingenious is this? So let me put this one aside. Okay, the last thing I want to show you is our more modern things. Now I have a KitchenAid mixer, so I love the attachments that KitchenAid has. This is actually a pasta maker. So when you buy this, and I always watch to see when KitchenAid has all this stuff on sale. So when you get it, it's going to come like this in the box. It's going to have 3 pieces with it, okay? And it has a little brush with it. And this stuff's pretty heavy. So this one here, I'm going to take them all out and then I'll show them to you. I'll tell you, it's days like this when I'm doing cooking with pasta that I am so glad I stayed in the kitchen and learned as much as I could from my mom. She was just a wealth of knowledge. So what's nice is it comes with 3 attachments. It has your spaghetti, you know, for like your angel hair, and then it has one for linguine. So this first piece here is your roller. And on this end here, this is going to fit into the end of the machine. So what you would do is unscrew this part enough to let this go in. And then when you hear it snap like that, then screw the back in like that. It's a little bolt that's on your machine. If you have a KitchenAid, you know what I'm talking about. And then that stays on. You'll see on here, there's numbers that go from like, I think 0 to 5 or 6. Let me put my glasses on to see. Yeah, it goes from 0, actually it goes all the way up to 8. So what that does is, it'll start from a thickness. I'm actually going to unscrew this so Kelly can see. So here's your 2 rollers, and what this little brush is that comes with it is, you always want to flour these. Don't ever wash this stuff. Just like when you have a cast iron skillet, never wash it. You don't want to wash these because they're going to get rusted. So you would start off, watch when I turn this. See how these rollers move? Okay, and now it's pretty thick in there. So when you see when I start rolling my dough out, I'll start it as the thickest setting, and then I'm going to fold it over, and then I'm going to, one by one, make the rollers get closer and closer together. And that's how you do your pasta. All those hours that my mom spent rolling out the pasta, now I just put it right through here and I can get it as thin as I want. But that's what those do. I take this in a little bit of flour, and I always dust in between here. And then when I'm done for the day, I'm done with this, same thing, I use this to clean it out. So this is the roller part. Now this one here, this is the really fine one, if you can see it. This is to make like really thin, like almost like in between, almost like an angel hair. Same thing, you put this end into the machine. There's no numbers to turn it. It's already gauged here. And always use this to clean it out because you don't want to get any of that dried pasta stuck in here. So this one's for the spaghetti, and then this one I use a lot for linguine. Linguine is great because it'll hold like a thick sauce really, really nice. And same thing with that. It's got the teeth in here that are perfectly spaced out. So what we want to do first is we want to make our basic pasta, and then I'm going to show you how to dye the pasta. So I'm just going to set these aside till we need them. And I want to tell you a little story. This is actually my mother's rolling pin, but before she got this, she had a broom handle. That's what my dad had her for a rolling pin, was a broom handle that he cut down. My mother could roll pasta faster than anybody I ever met. I mean, we didn't have this fancy mixer. So in the old days, and I'll show you a little bit of it, when my mom would start to roll out the pasta, she would wrap a couple pieces around here, and she would flip this so fast and then let it go like that, and the pasta would roll out. I'm thinking, someday I want to be able to do that. That just marveled me that she could do this so fast. But I think I've told you, and I'm going to show you pictures of her later on, She came from Italy when she was only like 6 years old. Her mother died when she was 3 from tuberculosis. My grandfather did not remarry. And in the old days, when you came as an immigrant, you had to have a trade before you came to America. So my uncles, one of them was a stonemason, my Uncle Joe, and my Uncle Freddie was a bricklayer. And my grandfather, Olivera, my brother's name is Oliver, which happy birthday, his birthday is today, was named after my grandfather. He started a construction company. And about a couple months ago, maybe 6 months ago, I had the chance to go back to Pittsburgh where I was from. And my kids really don't know a lot about that part of the family because my grandfather was already gone. He died when I was like in 3rd grade. So my kids never got to know their great-grandfather, or my grandmother was already gone too. So when we went to Pittsburgh for a wedding, I said, guys, I want to take you on a little tour. So of course the 2 older ones are like, we're not taking one of your little journeys down memory lane. But my youngest daughter, Jordan, said, Mom, I'll go for the ride. I'm like, great. So I rented a car. The first place I took her was to the Cathedral of Learning in Pittsburgh because my grandfather built that. She could not believe it. It was all made out of stone. So it was so neat. I had posted some pictures on Facebook. But the neatest part was after we went there, I took her to my house because my Uncle Freddie was a bricklayer. And as a wedding present, my grandfather built our home for my mom on Barclay Avenue in Pittsburgh. And it was so neat to take my daughter there and show her, this is the house I grew up in. And then we went to a famous place called Vincent's Pizza in Pittsburgh. She's like, Mom, it smells so good. I said, come on, I'm going to take you in. Best pizza in the world. When my mother turned 80, I had one shipped overnight to her in Albuquerque. So we go inside, and of course there's an hour wait. And I said, oh, I'm from Pittsburgh, thought I could throw my weight around, we're going to be able to get in. He said, it's an hour wait for just a slice. And Jordan just looked at me, she's like, Mom, we can't do this. So we left, and I said, Jordan, I have just one more place I want you to take me. I want to go to the cemetery to see my grandfather. I haven't seen him since I was in 3rd grade. So we were looking all over this cemetery, and I just had this feeling that we weren't in the right place. And I said, Jordan, this can't be right. I said, take me out and let's go a little further up the hill. And sure enough, we were in the wrong cemetery. Well, when we got out of the car, a deer ran by us. And now here we are in the city of Pittsburgh, and a deer runs by us. I said, Jordan, this is the right place. And I found my grandfather's stone. And it was really neat because I didn't know how much of an impression Jordan was going to get from this little trip that we took, because we were actually in Pittsburgh for a wedding. So I went over and I got to visit my grandfather for a little bit and talk with him. Well, when we got home that weekend, on Facebook, I saw Jordan put a post that she wasn't much for cemeteries, but this day she got to spend time with her great-grandfather. And it just meant so much to me. And that's why when you guys hear me talk about food a lot, and I have such a passion for it, it's because I had such a good childhood. My memories were based on food. It was based on making homemade sausage in the winter with my dad and my uncles and laughing at them getting drunk and breaking the casings and making homemade pasta. And they would also make homemade wine. Underneath my Uncle Joe's house was stone. There was a little cellar door, and that was underneath his porch. So there were the big vats of the wine, and then the broomsticks were hanging, and that's where all the sausage was. And then he would take a little poker and put the sausages on and put it in the fire and then give us a, like a roll. I mean, everything, all my memories are around food. That's why I think I just have this passion for food. So now that you know everything about me, let's start making some pasta. So what I want to show you is we're going to start off with the eggs. And we're going to do 3 eggs. That should be enough. 3 eggs and 2 cups of flour. So I'm going to show you exactly how I learned how to do this. And then after I make it, I'm going to show you how to use all this equipment. The reason I have spinach and tomato paste out is I want to show you how to dye your pasta. If you take spinach, and it can be frozen or fresh, you just want to cook it and then chop it up and drain it really fine. So what I do is I go to the freezer section and I buy frozen chopped spinach. So that saves me a big step. I cook it. After it's cooked, I drain it out really good. And this is just your ordinary tomato paste that you get out of the can. This is going to make our pasta like a really pretty orange color, and this is going to make it green. If you want to get really fancy, get some of your favorite herbs like basil or rosemary, chop them up, add them to your dough, and as they get rolled out, you're going to see all these pretty colors in your pasta. So first we're going to make the pasta. That's the most important thing. And let's get this over here. So we want to start off with 2 cups of flour and 3 eggs. And like I said, you can always add to it, but you can't take it away. And remember that for everything that you do in cooking, you can always add salt, but you can't take it away, or you can add more flour. So go on the side of less is more. So let me just get a knife. And I'll tell you, this is one of my favorite things. If you followed one of my posts when we had a really big storm about a month ago, I was like cabin fever in this apartment. And I thought, you know what? I'm just going to cook. That's what I used to do when my kids were little. You know, as a mom, you think, okay, we're going to lose power. I have to have like a dozen brownies and a big container of popcorn in case we lose power. So for me, I'm like, let's make comfort food. Let's make pasta. So I want to start with 2 cups of flour. And like I said, baking in that is really precise. So you got to be really careful. So always measure everything. So I'm going to put my flour in here. I kind of filled this up a little too much this morning, but we'll be okay. So use your knife. Make sure this is all packed down, and then just level it off. Get any extra off there. Put it right on your board or your counter, whatever you have. This is my favorite cutting board. I think I told you before, when I used to live on Londonderry Road in Wyndham, we had a big farmhouse, and when I moved, right before we had put our addition on, this was my counter. So I always took it with me wherever I went. That gives me a little piece of my past. Okay, so we cut this with a knife and put it on the board. And now I'm going to put this aside. And you're going to see I'm not going to use all this flour. So let's put this actually back here. I'm trying to make it so that you guys can see everything. So what you do first is I have my pasta flour, and I'm saying pasta flour. This is just regular flour. You can actually add semolina flour if you want to. It just makes it a little bit firmer when you add semolina flour. This is just regular flour. So first thing you do is you're going to make a well. So I'm going to make a little circle with my hands because I'm going to add those eggs in the middle. Okay? And you don't ever want to break this well. Okay, so we have that. Now, I'm going to add my 3 eggs one at a time. I'm going to break them in here just in case one of them are bad. Okay, so there's one. There's my second one. And I just need one more. And this is all you need. 2 cups of flour and 3 eggs. And wait till you see what we're going to do with this dough. Okay. So let me get rid of these. So this is how you get started. And this is really fun to do with your kids too. My kids love to make homemade pasta. So break your eggs first. And you just want to beat your eggs. You don't have to add olive oil to this. You don't have to add salt. You don't have to do anything. So just get these all combined. Make sure that this surface is really clean, the surface that you're working on. Okay, so we're just stirring this. We want to get these eggs all combined. Okay, so now these are pretty combined. Just like you were going to make scrambled eggs, you do the same for this. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to start to go around little by little and gather this egg into the flour without breaking the well. Okay, so I start to go around here, and I'm going to grab a little bit of flour. My mother always kept her hand like this so the well didn't break. Okay, now I'm going to get this mixed in. So I'm just incorporating that flour into the egg, and then eventually you're going to use your hands and you won't be using the fork. Okay, now I'm going to go around and grab some more. But this is so easy, and it just blows my mind of how many meals you can make just from 3 eggs and 2 cups of flour. And it's so easy. You know, just try it. Don't be afraid to do it. You can also do this in a mixer. You would put your flour in and your eggs, put your paddle attachment on and make it, and then you can knead it afterwards with a dough hook. You can put this in a food processor too, but I just like doing it like this. To me, it's relaxing, takes any tension out. Okay. Now I'm going to keep stirring this and combining this. Now see, I haven't broken my well yet. And you're going to see that this is going to start to get thicker. Okay. I have to tell you a funny story. I went out to dinner the other night with a really good friend of mine from Wyndham, and a teacher friend of mine. And my friend from Wyndham is wonderful. She's Lebanese and is married to an Italian and loves to cook. So she always brings me little gifts. And she brought me and this teacher friend of ours who doesn't cook at all and will remain nameless. She knows who she is. She'll always call me and say, can you make me some soup? Can you make me some pasta ribs? So here our dear friend brings us these beautiful like wooden boxes with all kinds of herbs, rosemary and parsley and sage, just beautiful. And she was saying how, you know, she knew that we would use them and we could make like potatoes and rosemary in the pan. I knew exactly what she was talking about, and I was laughing to myself inside. So my teacher friend looked at me and she said, what'd she say we're going to do with this? And I'm thinking, oh my gosh. So after my friend left from Wyndham, my teacher friend said, you really need to take these home, and then you make me the dish and bring it to me. So we got together a couple weeks ago for dinner again, and I told my friend from Wyndham, I said, remember those herbs you gave us? Well, our friend didn't take hers home. She goes, yeah, I kind of figured that. I just thought it was so funny because she does not like to cook, and she is a true Italian, but she doesn't want to cook at all. Okay, see how thick this is getting now? It's kind of like a paste. So I'm going to go around one more time and grab some more of this flour. And then I'm going to get my hands in here. So I haven't broken this well. Okay, this is exactly the consistency we want it. We're going to get all this flour in here. We're going to stir this around. Perfect. See how it's coming all together and it's kind of like a dough? This is where I want it to be. And I can start to take that other flour away. And see, this didn't take long at all. I got this all mixed. Okay, so this is perfect. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to take this off of the fork, and I'm going to stop using the fork. And this is where that little bench tool comes in. That I call it a bench scraper. You got to get one. They're great. They work as a knife. They work as a scraper. Okay, so get rid of this. And now what I do with my bench scraper is I take that flour away and I put it aside, because I'm going to be using it later on. A little sticky note over here. Okay, now the flour that I have left here, I'm going to use my scraper and I'm going to start to incorporate what was left. This is going to be my pasta. Okay, so when I feel it, okay, it's a little wet, I can add a little bit more. I just want to turn it couple times before I can start kneading it. And I can see it needs a little bit more. So now I just put my hands in. You just don't want it wet. You want it a dough consistency. But it's great because this scraper is helping me mix this all up. Put a little bit more in. Okay. And we need this. And now it's all coming together just how I want it. A little bit more if it's wet. Okay, now we can start to work it. So, this is the fun part. Get all our good little dough off of there and off my hands. Okay, so now we're going to start to work this dough. This is the fun part. My mother always taught me, you push it and pull it away. So I'll show you that in a second. I just want to get it worked here. And you're really using the palms of your hands. You're pushing it and pulling it away. I can tell I need a little bit more flour. I want to get all that sticky stuff out of there because I want to start on a nice clean little surface here. Put a little flour. Okay, and you roll this out and you keep kneading it and kneading it. Okay, and then after, you're going to see, after you knead it, sometimes I like to let it rest for a little bit, get all that gluten going. Okay, so I'm going in with the palm of my hand like that, back and forth, just like I'm making bread, back and forth. So this is a nice consistency. You see how it is now, and it's soft to touch? This dough is just perfect. So I'm just going to roll it. Okay, a little flour down here. Okay, now what we're going to do is I'm going to separate this dough. That's going to be one, and this is going to be one. These are the two that I'm going to dye. So we're going to put that aside. And I just want to roll this in a little bit of flour And I'm going to let this rest for a little bit. So I'm going to put that over there. And now with this piece here, I'm going to get it all flattened out. I'm going to add a little bit of my spinach. I'm going to mix that in really, really good. And if you have an electric machine like this, you don't have to worry too much about getting this really incorporated, because by smoothing it out, it's going to get all the green in and dye your pasta for you. So get this all mixed in. And the one thing you're going to notice is, because of the moisture from the spinach and the tomato paste, you might need a little bit more flour because there's moisture in that. So get this all out. You can start to see the green in it. But this is so neat. There's so much you can do with pasta. It's unbelievable. Okay, so we're going to let this one rest now, and then we'll let the machine do the rest. So put that one aside, and this one we're going to add tomato paste to it. I'm going to take just a little bit of tomato paste, and this is going to make it a pretty orange color. Okay, just a little bit. Get that in there. Just going to get this all mixed up. You probably never thought you could dye your pasta, but this is so neat. Another thing you can do is you can use, if you like beets, boil, skin your beets, boil them. You can add those to your pasta and make it a pretty red color. Okay, let's get this all in here. Okay, so now what we're going to do is let these sit for a little bit, like I said, to get the gluten all working in them. So we've got regular pasta, we're going to have spinach pasta, and we're going to have tomato pasta. So I'm going to take just a break, clean up, and then I'm going to come back and show you how to make all different stuff. So I'll see you back here in just a minute. So we have our tomato pasta, our regular pasta, and our spinach. So first we're going to get it rolled out, and then I'm going to show you some tricks, okay? So I'm going to start with our basic pasta first. So I'm going to use the attachment. I'm going to unscrew this and put this in. Make sure it gets in all the way. There we go. You got to make sure that it's touching the machine, and I could tell it wasn't, so now it's in perfectly. And what's nice about the KitchenAid and these is I don't have any of my attachments under here. This is my attachment. So when I turn it on, that's what's turning this up here. The rotor is turning this on. So I'm going to start with my glasses so I can see what I'm doing. And I'm going to start with the thickest setting possible. And on this here, you want to hear it lock into place like that. Then you know that you're at your right setting. Okay, so I'm going to start off slow. I'm going to put a little bit of flour in here just to make sure that nothing's going to stick, okay? And then I take my dough, and I'm just going to put it in the flour, and I'm going to put it in the machine. I go a little bit faster. Okay, now when you see it come out, it's a little doughy and sticky, so you put more flour on it. Now this is just our first pass, and then you're going to fold it. Okay? So this is just our first pass of the machine. I'm going to put my machine on low. Then you're going to see we're going to crank it up really high in a little bit. We're going to flour both sides. Okay, we're going to run it through again. Okay, each time it goes through, I'm going to flour it just a little bit. One thing is just prepare to get a little bit messy with this, with the flour. Okay, I'm going to flour both sides. Okay, now I'm going to start to turn my wheels so that those wheels get closer together. That's what's going to thin my pasta out. Oops. Okay, now look what just happened. My pasta broke in half. It happens to everybody. It's okay. All we do, and pasta is very forgiving, we're going to stick it back together and we're going to start again. So I just put it in the flour, put it down here, and we're going to put it through again to the bigger setting. Okay. See, it's perfect. Nobody's going to know that that fell apart. So now I'm going to add a little bit more flour on, and you're just going to brush both sides each time because you don't want it to stick. Okay, now we're going to start to make it thinner and thinner and thinner. So now I turn my numbers down again. Hear it click. And as I turn my numbers down, I also want to speed up my machine. Not having good luck today, so I'm actually going to just separate these two pieces. And you know what? That's what pasta is. It's forgiving, so it's okay. Now I'm going to make this a little bit smaller, and I'll put some flour in here, and I'm going to crank it up. Perfect. What's happening with is every time that I'm turning that notch down, my pasta is getting longer and thinner. Look how nice this is. It's almost see-through. It's perfect. So some of the things that I wanted to show you, I'm going to stop for just a second. Okay, I'm going to show you how to make some types of pasta before I finish the rest of this. So we're going to put these two aside for a minute. I'll try to clear this off so you can see a little bit better. Okay, so I have my wheel here, but what I'm going to do first is I'm going to show you my mom's favorite pasta, Sonia Pat's. She loved these. Sonia Pat's is the easiest thing in the world to make, and it's so good. So I have my pasta sheet just like this, and I'm going to change my attachment. Now I can use a knife if I want to, but I'm going to change my attachment. You can use a pizza cutter if you don't have one of these. Just use a regular pizza cutter. Okay. I don't know where I stuck my attachment. Oh, here it is. You can use a knife. You could actually use this bench thing that I have. So I'm going to put this on. Sonia Pat's are just big squares, and we love them in our family. So here's my dough. Okay, I've got my flour on it. All you do is you cut them into squares. That's all Sonia Pat's are. But my mother loved these. She would make these like every Sunday. And it's great because it's so easy to make. And they're just into squares like that. That's a Sonia Pat. So you have your squares, and you just drop them into boiling water, and you're going to see, you'll know when your pasta's done when it comes right up to the top. So those are Sonia Pat's. So put these two little ones aside. Now I'm going to show you another really one that's really cute. Okay, watch this. I'm going to take this and I'm going to cut it in half, okay? Now, I'm going to change my attachment to the ravioli cutter, and I want to show you a little trick. Watch this. Get your kids in the kitchen. You could spend a whole afternoon doing this. They're going to be amazed at what they can do. So I'm going to take this, now it's got the ribbon cutter, I'm going to cut the edges, okay? Separate this. I'm going to cut this edge. Okay, now can you see what that looks like? You see how it has like the little ribbon on it? Guess what I'm making? Farfalle. Watch this. Just take it and pinch it. Look what we made. How about that? We made farfalle. This is what I'm trying to show you. Pasta is like one of the most expensive things when you go to the store, especially if you're getting imported pasta. Now they have, I don't want to say the name, but there is pasta out there that's already in a package. Those have been in the package for a long time. You can make this fresh. Look what I just made, farfalle. How about making homemade pasta and putting it in a salad for the summer with olives and your favorite dressing? You don't have to buy this stuff. So here's our farfalle. We're going to put it right there. Okay, next I want to show you how to make tortellini. So I have a little cup around here, and here it is over here. You don't need any special attachments. This is just a little plastic cup, okay? So what I'm going to do is take this. I'm going to cut a piece of this off. Now, if you want to go on my site and email me, there was a woman from Wyndham that was so nice that sent me a message through the Facebook page, Anne Marie's EuroKitchen, that she wants me to make artichokes. It turns out that our kids used to do gymnastics together, so she wants me to do a show on that. So if you want to learn something, or you say, hey, you were talking about this, can you give me a recipe? I'll give you recipes for stuffing. Like, if you want to fill tortellini, you could take mushrooms and chop them up with a little bit of ricotta and cheese, and there's your filling. But watch this. I'm going to make a little circle, okay? And I'm going to put my dough aside, and I'm going to lift this up off the board just to show you, okay? So now this is a circle. Now pretend that I put a filling inside. I'll put a little bit of flour to pretend it's a filling, okay? So I put a little bit of filling inside, and then what you could do is you could take egg wash and go around the outside, or water, either one. Watch this. We're going to take it, we're going to fold it over, so now I have a half moon shape, and I'm going to press that together. So now we have a half moon shape, okay? Now take your finger and you're going to turn this up like this, wrap it around, and pinch it. Ta-da! We just made tortellini. Isn't that awesome? And you can make these. When you see me roll out the colored pasta, you know how you see them in the store, there's like orange and green? Make them yourself. You can put any type of filling in here. So now here's tortellini, okay? Now, let's try a ravioli by hand. Let's take the old-fashioned press, and I have my ravioli here. Well, I don't have the ravioli here, I got the dough. So, you need two pieces to it. So here's a square, okay? These are so cheap in the store. You can even get these in Walmart. You can get them at any store. Okay. Oh, I need to go a little bit harder on that. There we go. I'm going to cut this away. Okay, I'm doing the old-fashioned way. You don't want to be doing this like to make a ton of them. You know, in the old days when there were weddings, my mom was the godmother to a lot of people. She would make those, remember the laundry baskets? This is dating us back, that were made out of wicker? She'd put a bed sheet inside it and fill that with ravioli, and that would be a gift for the bride. She was cooking all the time. So here's the bottom piece. I'm going to put my filling in, and then you just put your top piece on. So I cut this piece out. Okay, I'm going to take that around. So you decide what filling you want. Like, I love spinach ravioli, ricotta. Take your ricotta. When you're doing any type of filling for cannolis or for pasta, you want to drain it. So I usually drain it in a cheesecloth overnight. I love to put mozzarella and, not provolone, but peppercorn romano with it and whip it up. So I would put either water around the edges or an egg wash. Put just a little spoon of your filling in here, just a little circle. Then you put your other piece on top, and you just press your edges to seal it. And you got ravioli. So there's a third one. Now, with this one here, okay, if you have the old-fashioned ravioli press, I'm going to do just a little piece for you. You're going to put, let me cut this one in half, just so I can show you. You can get these anywhere. I actually ordered this on eBay because I didn't have my mom's original one. Okay, so you put it in there. Then you take this. This is your indentation. Watch what happens. Look at that. It just made the little centers for my filling. Can you see it from the bottom? You got like the little, I'll turn it over this way, little cups to hold the filling. So we're going to pretend that we made our filling. You put a little bit in each edge of that. Okay, you took your little thing and pressed it down to make the indentation. This could be filled with ricotta and chopped mushrooms, or you could put spinach in it, or how about Swiss chard? I love Swiss chard. Now, you take another piece, you put it on top, and then you take your rolling pin, which is right here, okay, and you just roll over this, okay? And by rolling over it, do you see what's happening? It's cutting the ravioli itself. So it's cutting away all of that, and then what you have is your own homemade ravioli. So let me give it a little more press on. I wasn't going too heavy-handed here, and I should have. Okay, see how the silver is showing? I'm cutting each individual ravioli just with the rolling pin, okay? Get in there, and go over this way. And now I can cut this away because it's got the little teeth on it. Take that aside, okay, and guess what I have? You go from the bottom. We made ravioli. How cool is that? But of course your stuffing would be inside. So that's ravioli from the press, and just pop them through. Look at that. Look how fast that is. This one will roll a little bit more. Now, of course, I'm just doing this for the sake of time. I'm not really making them fancy, but I just want to show you how easy it is and how many things we're making just from 3 eggs and 2 cups of flour. Okay, so now let me get this stuff out of the way and show you some other stuff. So we made farfalle, tortellini, sagna-pats, and ravioli. So we're going to put these over. How cute is that? The farfalle, tortellini, sagna-pat, and ravioli out of one dough. But I want to show you something. If you don't have a machine, don't worry. You can do all this too. So I'm not going to probably be able to do like my mom did, but I want to show you something. Because a lot of people say, oh, am I going to be able to roll out this dough and make it? I don't have a machine. You don't need a machine. I'm going to show you what to do. Okay. Oops, I think I'm hitting my wall. It's funny, I can hear my mother in my head. You're not doing it the right way, but I'm trying, Ma. I'm not as good as you were. But what she used to do was she would flour the rolling pin. She would wrap this part here over the rolling pin here like this, right? And she'd give it a couple of these, and then she'd slap it back. But I mean, she was fast, and it would get so thin. I was amazed by that. I'm like, I want to be able to do that someday. But what I'm trying to show you is how to cut this, okay? Pretend we're making linguine. Now, I don't have this rolled as flat as it should be, but I'm trying to show you how you don't need a machine to make pasta for your family. Okay, so let's pretend this is rolled out really thin. All right, this is how you would make it if you didn't have a machine like this. So just take your pasta and you're going to start to roll it up, okay? Just keep on rolling. Now, in the real world, you want to make it really thin so you have enough to feed your family. I'm just showing you. Then all you do is take your knife and you cut it and cut it and cut it, and guess what you got? You have your own pasta that you didn't have to cut on a machine. So really you got to roll it out thinner, and I did use pieces of it to make the tortellini and that. So of course this is going to be much longer, but that's what I'm trying to show you is you don't need a machine to do this. You can do it by hand, just roll it up and cut it. So now let's get into the really fancy stuff with the dough. So put this one aside. This is our regular dough. Okay, now I've let my doughs rest. We're going to start with the spinach one first. And this better work for the sake of TV. We're going to be in trouble. Okay, so all I did was I took my spinach, I cooked it, and then I squeezed it all out. So it's here in my pasta, and I used frozen chopped spinach. And what's going to happen is, as I put it through the roller, it's going to start to diet. So I want to get it into the really fat part of the machine, and I want to put some flour in here. Nobody ever said making pasta was going to be a clean act, so get ready to have flour all over the place, but that's the fun part of it. Okay, we're going to flour this really, really well. We're going to put our machine on. I just want to make sure I got flour in here. Okay. Here we go. Ooh, it looks so pretty. Okay, now we want to flour it really well so it doesn't stick. Okay. Get it in my flour again. Okay, now I'm going to turn my knobs down because I want to get it closer together. Okay. How cool is this? How neat is that? Okay, so I'm going to actually cut this so I can work with it a little bit better. And that's one thing you're going to see. The more you make these blades tighter, the longer that pasta is going to get. So it depends on how long you want it, okay? So. Don't be afraid if it breaks, that's part of it. But isn't that beautiful? I just think this is so pretty. And when you do something like this with the green, this would be awesome with like a nice butter and garlic sauce or an Alfredo sauce. You can put a tomato sauce with it too. Tomato and spinach go perfect together. So that's our spinach one, okay? And when I dry pasta out, I usually put newspaper down and I put flour or cornmeal on it because I don't want it to stick. So I'm just going to put this here for a second. And I've got my other piece here. Okay, this is a long piece, so I got to cut this one. Same thing, I want to flour this. Lay it right on top. Look how beautiful this is with the spinach. I love this. I think this is so pretty. I just want to run this one more time. Look how beautiful this is. And you have to understand, the more you run it through, the deeper the color is going to get. It's going to really get into the pasta. Okay. So I'm going to put this on, and we're going to put this over here, and I can just flap it, and it's not going to stick. Now we're going to do the tomato. This one I'm really excited about. Okay, so get this one all mushed up. Okay, start on the wide setting. Okay, what I didn't do with the spinach one is I didn't fold it over, and I want to do that with this. I'm going to fold this over like that. Okay. Get a little bit more flour on it. And now we're going to start to put it into the smaller settings, and you're going to see that color really start to come out. Look how beautiful this is. I want to dust it off so you can see the color. Look how beautiful. You've got this orange tint. So the longer you put this through, the more orange color you're going to get. So now I want to take this machine attachment off, and I want to make you some pasta and finish up with a nice aglio olio dish. So just take your little brush. If you were going to be finished with this, you just want to brush this and make sure you get this all clean before you put it away. So I'm just doing this for the sake of time. Okay, we're going to bring over the linguine. Just tighten this up. Okay. And I want to put some flour in here. Turn it on. Okay, so I'm going to make the linguine with this tomato one because I think it's so pretty. Okay. Is that not beautiful? Look at that beautiful color. And when you cook this, it's even going to be prettier. So what I'm going to do now is just quick wash my hands, and I've got water boiling. So hold on one second. My water's boiling, and what I want to do to that is add some salt to it. Don't put your salt in your water until it's boiling. So put that in, and now I want to put some olive oil. I love this olive oil. Look how cute this is. They now have their own little spouts. Love it. So I'm going to put just a dash of that in the water. I always put a little olive oil in the water so it doesn't stick. So what I'm going to do is turn that up to high. Okay, I'm going to let that really come to a boil. Now for my sauce, I'm going to make my mother's favorite sauce, aglio olio, which is one of mine too. So front of the pan, I'm going to put it on about medium high. All you need is olive oil, water, and garlic. How easy is that? So we're going to put some olive oil in the pan. And I love, love, love the garlic in the jar. This saves you all the time with peeling the garlic and crushing it. I love it. It just stays in the refrigerator, and oh, I can smell that all day long. Love that smell. So I'm going to put about a teaspoon of garlic in there. Now my water's coming to a full boil. So I'm going to take the lid off of that. And I'm going to take my beautiful pasta. I'm going to just drop it in the water. That's one thing. You don't have to let this dry. Fresh pasta can go right in the water. You can let it dry if you want to. And I want to tell you something real quick before I finish this. A lot of people ask about freezing this. If you want to do individual portions, like for me that lives alone, take a cupcake pan. Take these, and you can actually roll them up like this in the cupcake pan, and you're going to have 6 individual portions. If you want to let this dry, you can do that too, but I'm just dropping it right into the pan, okay? And I can hear my garlic sizzling, so I don't want it to burn. I just want to get my garlic. When your garlic starts to smell, you know that it's ready. So that's in there. Now, I've got my pasta cooking over here. Oh, wait, you see how pretty it is? I love it. Put the cover on for a little bit. Okay, now, what you need to add to this is I have my olive oil, my garlic, but you want that starchiness of that water. That's going to make your sauce. So I always have a cup next to me. That pasta's cooking really good. It's coming to a full boil. So I'm going to put this on the back for a second. And I'm going to take my lid off. Perfect, perfect, perfect. I got my tongs. I just want to show you. Can you see that okay? My pasta's already come to the top. Guess what? It's done. That's what's so great about fresh pasta. It doesn't take long. So I have this beautiful tomato pasta in here. I'm going to actually turn that off. And I'm going to take a cup of my water. So I'll put this back here. And that's what makes my sauce. So I'm going to get my cup. And I just want a cup of that starchy water. And I'm going to pour it in here. I'm going to let this cook for a little bit. I want to add a little bit of pepper to it. Just a little pinch of salt. And then I'm just going to stir it, just with the pan, okay? This is so good, this sauce. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is, I'm going to take my beautiful tomato pasta out of the pan. Look how pretty that is. Isn't it gorgeous, that color? This would be so pretty for Easter. So now I'm going to drop this right into my sauce. Don't need to drain it. I just want to get it out of the pan. Oh, it smells so good in here. Oops, lost a piece of it. Make sure I get all of it in here because I don't want to lose any of that. Okay. I'm just going to toss this. Look at how pretty that is. You've got that beautiful orange color from the tomato paste and a wonderful aglio sauce. I love it. So, so pretty. This is the easiest sauce to make. All it is a little bit of olive oil, a little bit of crushed garlic, and then you always take a cup of that starchy water that you cook the pasta in and you make it in your sauce. You see these in the restaurants everywhere. This is so good. Okay, now I'm going to shut my heat off. I'm going to take a break. I'm going to clean everything up. We're going to come back and we're going to eat our fresh pasta. So I'll see you in a minute. Hi, we're back. I am so excited. So we made Sonia Pat's, farfalle, tortellini, ravioli, spinach pasta, and pasta made with tomato paste. And now I want to show you the finished product. So over here, I just took the tomato linguine, cooked it in my water, salted oil water. Then I made aglio, which is just sauteed olive oil and garlic, and then a cup of that starchy pasta water. Oh, it's going to be so good. So we're going to take our pasta. Oh my gosh, is this so good? Okay. And we're going to put a little bit of cheese on top because you know I love cheese. Down. Look how pretty that looks. That's our pasta. So I can't let you go without us trying this. So I say us because in between each show, Kelly eats what I'm making. So I'm going to take a little bite and she's going to finish it. So you hold on. I can hear her laughing in the background. I just gave away our secrets. Oh my God, shut the front door. This is so good. Oh my gosh, is this good? I love it. My kids are going to think I'm crazy when they see this, but they'll be rewarded when I bring it to their house. This is so good. You've got that tomato. Oh my gosh, is this good. You got the tomato in there. You got the olive oil. Who doesn't like tomato and olive oil? It's like eating a pizza. This is heaven. So I am so glad you tuned into this show. Oh, this was so good, this pasta. But I got to tell you, this show was dedicated to my mom because I wouldn't be here without her. She was so good. I just want to show you some pictures. This was Ma when she came from Italy. Can you imagine that? All by herself on that boat to Staten Island. Came by herself. It was unbelievable. This was my Nonna Marianne. This was her mom, who unfortunately passed it when my mom was 3 years old to tuberculosis. This was my grandfather Olivera. And then I'm going to show you Mom when she met my dad. Wasn't she pretty? Look at her. She was so beautiful. And this is how everybody remembers my mom. This is her. This is Ma right before she passed away. She was a pleasure to everybody. So thank you for tuning in, and I hope you get in the kitchen and make some pasta, and we'll see you next time. Bye-bye.
It's your kitchen and it's everybody's kitchen. If you want to try a place where the